Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and hopefully have a lot more fun. My name's Paul Sanneman. I'm founder of Contractor Staffing Source. We help contractors build great teams. My guest today is Brad Huebner from Hammer and Grind. That sounds hard just doing it. So tell me, Brad, what does Hammer and Grind do? What do you do?
Yeah, well, we do business coaching for contractors, but Hammer and Grind is actually the name of the podcast that I have. So it's the Hammer and Grind podcast. Just it also happens to be the name of the business.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, we do business coaching for contractors.
All right. So, what kind of contractors do you enjoy working with? How big, how small? Give me your like avatar client.
Yeah, so I just a quick thing about me. I started out in 2009, right in the middle of the
In the
recession. I thought
recession,
that
good
was
time to start a business. Just
yeah,
saying.
everybody's running away. I thought, why not join and
Right.
go the opposite direction?
Right.
But I started out doing like handyman stuff because that was the easiest thing to get into, and then we started doing remodeling. So I was a general contractor. I have a general contractor's license. I had my own business for 12 years. So my favorite people to work with is remodelers because that's what I did. I know all the ins and outs and all of the things that can break your business or make it. And so remodelers are the ones that I focus on the most, but we also work with general contractors, landscapers. I even have some weird ones out there, specific trades that I work with. But most of the guys that I work with are still either partially on the tools or transitioning off the tools. And a lot of them are like even sub 1 million in revenue. I have some that are over a million, but a lot of them are sub 1 million. So
Okay.
these are
So,
2 to 4 kind of employee size
right.
businesses.
So how do you, I mean, I've been a coach for God knows ever, right? And my biggest problem, and maybe tell you solved it, is how do you get somebody to transition from a craftsman to an entrepreneur? It's a whole different mindset, right? So the
It is.
guy, he's been a carpenter, whatever, he's worked on houses, and now he owns a company. He has to have a different mindset. How do you help him make that transition?
So, have you ever heard the adage of sell them what they want and give them what they need?
Yes, I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah, so that's basically what I have to do. People come to me to solve a problem. They're like, "Hey, I need a sales process because I got too many leads. I can't control it." Or I'm working on the tools. I'm working 80 hours a week. I need to figure out how to do that. Or I'm not making enough money. So usually there's a problem that they want solved, and so that's what we're going to help them do. But once they get into the program, honestly, we spend a lot of time on mindset. So it's hard to sell mindset, Paul. Nobody
And
wants
that's,
to.
I always tell people if you have an employee problem, it's either you hired the wrong person, you didn't train them, or you didn't motivate them. It's all you, right? And so
Yep,
sometimes it's difficult people to take responsibility that all the problems they have in their business are them. At least they created them, right?
absolutely. Yeah, the extreme ownership. If you're a 𝗀𝗂𝗿𝗃 fan, if you've read that book, Extreme Ownership, I'm a big fan of that. Everything that happens in your business is your fault,
Right.
good or bad.
Absolutely. So now, what do you see as some of I'll give you an example. You're in an airport, you meet a remodeling contractor. He's complaining. He says, look, I can't find any good people. My clients are all idiots. I can't make any money on jobs. I'm ready to like go back and be a carpenter. Give me some advice. I got 5 minutes. What do you think I should do?
Oh, that would be a tough one on the spot. I mean, usually a lot of that is a communication problem. Like they're not very good communicators in general, right? And
Mhm.
so like that's a problem they probably need to fix, but it's not something you're going to fix overnight,
Right.
right? And so like in that scenario with 5 minutes, I mean, I would have to tell them like, hey, we need to jump on a call because I got to learn more about your business to see what's going
Right.
on. But the main thing here's my philosophy about all this, Paul.
Okay.
If you make enough money in your business, you can solve a lot of your other problems. If you're not making enough money in your business, you're basically screwed.
Right. Well, I always say you can stay in business as long as you can afford to pay for your mistakes.
Exactly. And if you have a lot of money, you can make a lot of mistakes and still survive.
Right. Not much money, you're out of business sooner. Um, so, when you're working with these guys, what's your process? How do you like coach people to get from point A to point B? Some people use EOS, there's all these different systems. What's your methodology in helping somebody get from, let's say, they want to go from 1 million to 5 million. They're not picking my Kansas City and they're a
Right.
remodeling contractor and they're just stuck.
Yeah. Well, obviously, there's a lot of variables that go into that. Like do they have employees? Are they a sub-base process? Is the owner still doing project management? Like, we need to bring in project managers. Maybe we need to bring in sales teams. Obviously, you know how to do that for people. Um, or maybe we just need to have a better sales process. Maybe our sales closing ratio sucks. We're getting plenty of leads, but we're not closing them. We're not charging enough. There's a lot of different variables that go into that. So the first thing I always do is really just learn more about their business to dive into where the bottlenecks are and then solve from that. And I can tell you 99.999% of the time the bottleneck is the owner.
Right.
So we got to fix the owner. And again, a lot of that is mindset. It's reframing the way they think about stuff.
I know. I mean, that was always the hardest part about being coach is I'd say you got to work harder on yourself than you do on the business because you are the problem. And it's a general line. As a coach, you don't want to get them too far out of their comfort zone or they'll fire you. But if you don't get them out of their comfort zone, you can't help them, right?
That's right. Yeah. And I'm more of a direct person. So people that usually like to work with me, they want that level of accountability. There's some coaches out there that make you feel good about yourself while you're talking to them, but they don't actually help you solve any problems in your business.
Right.
So I'm like, I really don't care if you hate my guts. If I can help you be successful, that's a win for me, right?
Right.
I'm not there to be your friend.
Now, I'm going to give some people advice here on how to choose a business coach. There's a lot of options out there, right? And
Sure.
I think it's sort of like choosing a spouse. I mean, it's a
Yep.
long-term committed relationship, for lack of a better term, right? And so I suggest people, we can agree, disagree, they talk to a couple companies and see, who you're going to work with, what the systems are, who the person is. I guess the good news in working with you, it's actually you, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not I don't have like 15 coaches and it's a big marketing machine where we get tons of people in. I mean, I'm small, call it boutique or whatever you want to buzzword you want to use. I'm on the coaching calls. I'm working with the contractor. So I only bring in on average about 5 a month is kind of where I like to be at. 10 would
Mhm.
be kind of the limit of how many people we can bring in each month because there's some one-on-one aspects with that. And I'm the bottleneck in my own business,
Right.
right? As far as time. And so like it's more of like high quality, high touch kind of coaching.
Okay. And how do you charge for what you do?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
How do you charge for what you do?
I have a couple different options, but the main program that most of my contractors end up in is what I call the Profit Club, and that's a yearly subscription or yearly membership. It's a flat $8,000 to get in there, and then there's a renewal at the end of the year.
Okay. So they got to be committed, obviously. It's a
You
good
got
thing.
to be, and here's the thing, and you know this too, Paul, but you got to have skin in the game, right? So when you have like join our program for $47 a month, like people join it, but they don't do anything. But when someone has to pay, two, three, five, $8,000, they usually work their butt off to get their money back as quickly as possible.
Right. Well, I mean, it's sort of like a personal coach, if you get free coaching, probably not, but if you're paying $100 an hour for a trainer, you'll probably listen, right?
Yeah. 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 That's it.
And I've had it in my own experience. I've given my friends a lot of free advice. They never take it. When people are
That's
paying me
right.
$500 an hour, somehow they listen, right? Because
That's right.
they
Yeah.
value what you're telling them, right? They
Yes.
made their commitment. And the hardest thing I think is to get people to change their behavior. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. But this is why the beauty of the program works because it's a group coaching. I have all my other, clients, which are their peers. And when you get in a room full of people that are doing the things that you want to do and they're doing it successfully, high tide raises all ships, right? Like you can't help but get better because when you come into a group call or something and you have a bunch of head trash about something like, hey, I just can't charge for consultations. There's 15, 20, 30 other people that say, that's a bunch of bull crap. I used to think the same thing, and here we are charging for consultations. So change
Right.
your mindset. So that group, community is what helps out a lot.
Now, I find a lot of time in the remodeling industry, there's not enough peer groups because they don't like socialize with other remodelers, right? They don't have peers that they can share information with that can help them improve because it's much cheaper to learn from other people's mistakes than your own, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think part of it's, being a man, right? Men, we don't like to share emotions and ask for directions, right? We'll
Right.
just drive around in circles for 2 hours. That's part of it. But then you have the contractors where they're like, I'm used to figuring everything out on my own. I'm used to figuring out how to build a whole house. Surely I can figure out how to build a business. I don't
Right.
need help. And so most contractors, I did the same thing. We live on islands. We love to
Right.
live on islands and then complain, meet our buddies at the bar afterward or whatever and complain about how bad customers are and how bad subs are and how bad vendors are. And we just live in misery, right? But
Right.
again, you surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do, it lifts you up and that can change really who you are.
And those people, usually the people that join those groups are the top 1%, because otherwise they
Yes.
wouldn't join, right? So my
Yes.
experience of coaching groups like this, they're not your average contractor, because otherwise they wouldn't pay for it. So if you look
Correct.
at how many contractors between 1 million and 2 million are willing to lay, or three again, willing to lay down 8 grand to learn to do things better, you've eliminated 95% of them, right?
Yeah, and I've had contractors that joined the program like a month after they started their business. Like they
Whoa,
went out and got a credit card just to pay for the program because
amazing.
they were listening to the podcast or whatever they found about me, and they saw that much value in it. And one particular client that did that, I mean, within 3 months he was selling $90,000 jobs. And
Right.
so it it's funny because like I said, a lot of my clients are sub 1 million, 300, 500, 800,000, and they're trying to get off the tools and make that money. And I mean, they're really putting a lot of trust in me in the program. And I mean, I don't take that lightly.
Mhm. I think it's true because I have seen very few businesses succeed without some outside input. As I
For
said,
sure.
learning yourself is really expensive because
I know.
you can make one mistake that's 100 grand, like, oops, I guess I should have billed in advance, or I guess I figured out the billing wasn't right, or I waited too long to. I think the number one problem I've seen with contractors is not getting paid.
Yeah, and there's ways you can do that. I mean, just have a simple payment schedule like
Right. And
that
you make
benefits
sure that
you.
you bill ahead of when you should, before you
That's
need.
right.
There's a lot of things you can do that
Yeah.
actually work. So I would say if another thing also, and I think you need to look forward to the coach, even though you may, oh, it's my trainer's going to beat me up, but you go because you know you're going to get better, right?
That's right.
So I would say if you're not happy with your coach, give Brad a call. Or if you're looking for a coach, I would call two or three companies. Just,
Hmm.
ask ChatGPT, what are the four best coaching companies for me and blah, blah, blah. And it'll give you a bunch of call. And then call them, have the initial interview and find out if the chemistry is there, right? If you can actually be coachable by this person. Because without that, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and I interview people just as much as they interview me because if I don't feel like I can help them, one, like for whatever reason, I just can't help their problem, or two, I don't think they have the right temperament or character or whatever, I won't bring them into the coaching. Like I'm not there to just take your money. I'm
Right.
there to actually help you. And if I don't think I can
Right.
help you, I'm not going to take your money and try to screw you
And
over or
so,
whatever.
right. And so what happens is after an hour with you, they're going to give some sense whether the chemistry's there, whether they're going to listen, whether they're coachable by you, which is critical.
Yes. Yes.
And if they say yes, they should stay. If they say no, they should leave, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I had one guy that wanted it. I mean, he was like, I want in. I know a buddy that's in the program. I want in. And based on what he was trying to do, I was like, no, I can't help you. Like, I want to help you, but based on what you're doing, I can't help you.
I'm the wrong guy, right?
Yeah.
That's good. So, Brad, how do people get in touch with you to find out if you're a good match?
Yeah. The easiest thing to do is go to Hammer and Grind podcast, or I'm sorry, hammerandgrind.com. On social media, it's Hammer and Grind Podcast everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. If you search for Hammer and Grind Podcast, that's where we're at. Obviously, I have the podcast. And the hammerandgrind.com is the easiest place to reach me.
Okay, and they can just book a meeting you can do, right?
Yeah, right there on the website, they can book a meeting.
So I would suggest if you don't have a coach, you're not happy with your coach, and you want one-on-one with actual Brad versus somebody that works for somebody that works for somebody that works for the you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
I give Brad a call. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Paul. A lot of fun. I appreciate it.